get back on track and start talking about some of the things that most people are concerned about. Now, we've got those times of the years. For example, you've got holiday periods, you've got the times where you are having family reunions, and you're around a large number of people. Give us some advice and help us with what we should do and how we should conduct ourselves when it comes to eating during those times we're around a large number of people.
Well, the first thing is don't hog up all the food.
Okay.
Pace yourself. Set standards for yourself. Now, you have to have some self-control during this time of the year, because we all know we have those people in our family that can throw down when it comes to cooking the food. We like our potato pies, we like our dressing and our turkeys and stuffing. But one thing you have to do is pace yourself. And that's one thing that my clients have did a really good job of, is setting a plan out. Okay, I'm going to eat this at this time of day, and I'm going to eat this time of day, because we all know there's a plethora of food that's going to be in the house at that time. Sure. And so one thing, especially with coming into the New Year's, it's a good time. If you're going to make New Year's resolutions now, build that momentum now, going into the New Year's, because that's going to be an uphill battle. And we all know building that momentum is a lot easier than starting at that hill and going.
Right.
And so one thing you want to do is you want to make sure you just have that self-control and just say, look, I don't want to start behind come New Year's.
Right.
And so I want to build that momentum. I want to make sure I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm not eating too many sweets, and just eat a well-balanced meal. Right. You don't have to get off track. If you've been on track all year, please do not fall off the wagon now. You've worked too hard. Right. And so when it comes New Year's, now you can really put it in the fifth gear and keep it going.
Wow. And I could see someone, for example, see you specifically, working with someone, and as we would do in my days in corporate America, we would have quarterly reviews. Mm-hmm. So for those folks, they may say, well, I'd like to start the year off fresh and maybe spot check once per quarter just to see how they're doing. In addition to the training programs that you have, maybe that's something that you could start doing with people if you're not doing that. So every quarter kind of begins a new year for them. So I could see something like that happening. Let's keep moving, because there's some other questions that I'd like to ask you. Most specifically about athletes. It's my understanding, as you said earlier, you were an athlete and that was your plan A. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, because it was awesome that you had a plan B. Now, for these athletes that you may work with, and by the way, you also work with athletes, I understand. Yes. Tell me about what you enjoy most as it relates to working with athletes.
I'm going to go back to Thanksgiving. I had a couple of guys with the team that I work with. They texted me the night before Thanksgiving and said, can we get a workout in? I said, well, yeah, we can. And that's one thing when I was an athlete, that one may or may not benefit you greatly, but mentally you feel that you're getting an edge. And I know those guys, they like to work out, they want to get better. So being around guys who really want to work hard, who really wants to dig deep, guys who you know is going to be in that foxhole with you, that's who I like to be around, those serious athletes. And just being around a sport, seeing athletes get better, seeing guys and girls just coming in the gym, practicing and working on things that they are struggling with, and seeing them in the game finally coming through with what they've been putting in the hours and the hours and practicing on. And so just seeing that improvement in athletes, that really, it really does something good to me.
Wow. You said a lot in that bit. One of the things that you said that really surfaced with me is during that time when everybody's taking a break, I can recall talking with a guy and him saying that his brother was a professional athlete, but during the off season, he couldn't really get him to go to the gym with him. And so you're saying what you get really excited about is during that time when people are just really, as a rule, just kind of taking it easy, and they're calling you and saying, hey, Hard Knocks, Coach Hard Knocks, I want to come and work out. So that's what gets you excited. Another thing that I talk with young people about a lot myself, and even when I'm talking with an athlete, talking about perfect practice making perfect. Now, we realize too that you really need to practice during practice as though you are playing the game. And so you're saying that that's one of the areas that you really get excited about because you see those game breakthroughs.
Right, exactly.
Now let's talk about, there's got to be something obviously that keeps you going, that inner inferno, if you will, that keeps you driving. You were a high school athlete, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then college.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your experience during that time.
Well, in high school, I wasn't blessed with a lot of God-given talent. I had to work for a lot of the skills that I attained. And one thing, I was that guy that was getting up on Thanksgiving. I worked out on Christmas mornings. I was going to the gym with my brothers. I remember we were sneaking in Rose College and go play basketball and go work out. I remember one day we was in there, doing a Grizzlies game I really wanted to go to. And he said, no, he said, we're gonna go to the gym, Tony. We were there from 12 to 8. And I knew I was working hard, so that really didn't matter to me, the time being there. I just knew I was getting better. And that's one thing I try to find in my clients is that inner athlete. And that's one thing that comes out of me now, and that's one thing that really connects me with my athletes that I work with now, is I know how to get better. I know how to get you better. And it starts here. It starts mentally. And you have to train yourself mentally as well, and the physical will follow.
Wow. You sound like my kind of guy, both in sports and in business, because what I've heard you said, and correct me, you gave me the impression that you were either a B player or a C player, but your work ethic got you to where an A player probably would be.
Yes, sir.
So that's good food for thought for young athletes or for anybody that's really working towards making a change in their health and their fitness. Okay. How about a success story?
I will talk about my golfer, my young golfer. She's come from some struggles, but because of her work ethic, she's boasted herself into being one of the best in the country. And I have another one. This guy, he wasn't on any radar last year when it comes to lacrosse in the country, in the state, and the city. And at the end of the year, this young man was voted first team All-State. And one thing, he knew a couple of things that he needed to specifically work on. And this guy was in the gym with me every day, working on those specific things. And this guy reaped the benefits from that. Had a phenomenal season. And now he's up at University of Tennessee right now as a freshman.
That is awesome. We may have to see if we can't capture these young people and possibly even get them on the show sometime.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds like a winner. Let's talk about the different lifestyles of different people. Some folks have one lifestyle, another may have another. What do you tell people, and how do you work with them in order to maintain that healthy lifestyle? Because some people are going to do it, and some people you got to stay with, whether it's on business or whether it is one of your working clients, like me.
Right. Well, one thing, you try to find out why they're there. And so you try to find the interest as to why they're there working out. Some people may want to work out just to maintain. Some people want to work out to get better in sports. And so you try to find a bridge as to where you're the median. And you try to say, okay, how can I bring that out? And I've been lucky, I'll go back to what I said earlier, I've been lucky to have a lot of former And so I find an inner athlete in them. But one thing I always stress with my workouts, I'm gonna push you no matter what. Your workout may not be as hard as guy A, but mentally, I'm gonna push you and you're gonna have to get through it for you to go out into the real world and continue to complete the tasks that are thrown at you on a daily basis.
Unfortunately, Coach Hard Knox, athletes get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And while that is really sad to see that bubble burst, if you will,
mm-hmm.
They obviously can mend, and when they do it and they do it right, then I would imagine they won't have a recurring injury. How does a consistent regimen of working out, strength conditioning, and all of that prevent injuries?
Well, what it does, it prepares your body for the rigors of a season, rigors of practice. And one thing with athletes, you want to try to do a lot of sports-specific exercises with these guys. Now, you may have a couple of general exercises, such as your squats or your bench press that you may do with guys. But just say, for instance, with my football players and my golfers, there are some exercises that I will not do with my golfers because they need to stay lean and very flexible. Now, I'm not saying that football players do not need to be flexible, but they need to put a lot more muscle mass. So I would do a lot of different exercises than I would do with my golfers. And with being able to endure the rigors of the season, nutrition comes in, rest comes in, and so those three together builds a chain.
Okay. Before someone embarks upon a training program,
mm-hmm.
because you've heard the term weekend warriors. You have these people that have lived years, and they've been on the road, they've traveled, they've worked, and they're couch potatoes and they're everything, and then all of a sudden they decide they're going to get out and play some flag football, or their church is having a basketball game mm-hmm. with the older guys and the younger guys, and something happens. Tell us about a program or what you should do before you start, first of all, becoming a weekend warrior, mm-hmm. and then secondly, becoming someone who really wants to focus on their fitness. What would you recommend? Because usually there's that disclaimer about going to see the doctor.
Right, right. See your physician first. That way, it's just like taking your car to Firestone and you're getting that checklist. You want to go to the doctor and make sure your doctor is checking off on all your vitals, making sure you're healthy, making sure your cardiovascular is healthy, making sure your lungs are healthy, making sure you're not having any diabetes or any kind of sugar problems. Because just if you want to hire a trainer, we will need to know all these things in order to build a plan accordingly to you.
Right.
But please make sure you go and see your physician first before you start anything, so he can give you the okay, or if you need any special attention, he will give you the information to do so.
Right. So that's for all of these weekend warriors, right. as well as for people like me or anybody else that's going to start a workout program. We just really would encourage them to make sure to contact
yes.
their physician.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk again one more time as we're wrapping up about how people can get in contact with you.
You can find me. You can call me at 901-598-0115. That is my number. You can reach me at my email address at fitnex21@gmail.com, which is FITNEXX21@gmail.com, or you can find me at Facebook at Tony Knox on Facebook.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard the best from the best, and as we've talked about the best of in the areas of sports entertainment, the community, and we've had the best in the areas of fitness here. Mr. Tony Knox, better known as Coach Hard Knox, and I guess you can look at him and tell why they refer to him as that. In order to reach him, he can be reached at 901-598-0115 or by email